Hey, what's up guys, Josh's Booster and welcome back to another One Piece gameplay video. So, today another local finals from past Wednesday, OP9 format. Pretty cool one because we have Red Green Law, old favorites, I would say, on the left against Lucci on the right, and on the right actually me. And on the left is actually SkepasG, who you might know as the guy who won Utrecht Regionals in OP07 format, if I remember correctly, with Red Green Law. So, probably one of the very best Red Green Law players in the game, I would say, if not the best. But I don't want to step on any toes, of course. And then, me on Lucci. So a little bit unlucky for him, of course, because yes, this matchup is very favorable for Lucci. Law always wants to build up the board presence with all the small guys, and Lucci plays, the 4-drop Lucci that has a really easy time getting rid of all the small bodies that Law puts up, which makes it hard to have the setup for the leader ability, right? And because all the characters in play are also relatively low cost, Lucci doesn't really struggle with getting rid of them. But yeah, in the early game here, we saw very little happening on the 3-down turn. Law played the Rurosoro, and then Lucci just ran over it with a 9k swing. And now we actually see double bunny come down, which is a bit interesting, I would say, because usually Law doesn't really want to commit the bunnies until later in the game, where you can keep bouncing it back to hand to get more value out of it. With the leader ability as well as the 5-cost blocker Law. But the thing here is, I'm pretty sure he wanted me to he put me on better have a removal card in this situation, because if I don't have something like Brook here or Lucci, and I don't really want to play Lucci here because it will empty up the trash pretty bad, which is not good for Lucci, of course, because you want to keep the trash big for the late game. But yeah, if I do have Brook here, that will be a little bit rough. We also see Lucci being milled, by the way, with the leader effect here. So that means that in the future we will probably have access to it. We see Rebecca here, which actually picks up the Brook that was milled earlier. And then the Brook gets rid of the second bunny. But I'm pretty sure that the Law player was, how do you say it? Basically, for whatever reason, which we will see later in the game, actually, he was okay with potentially losing both the bunnies. And honestly, it's fair to put your opponent on better have it when you're playing a very unfavorable matchup, I think, because it's hard to win anyway, and sometimes you just have to hope your opponent does not have it to be able to win anyway, right? But we'll actually see that that's not the case here. I think you probably saw like a little cut there, which is because someone knocked over my camera actually while I was recording this, so I had to pick it up and put it back up. I'll show the blooper like at the end of the video just for fun. But yeah, we saw Dadan coming down here, picking up a Nami, if I remember correctly. And now this is probably a turn where he actually wants to do something, basically. So he taps a Dawn here. He plays out the Nami. And then he probably wants to pick up a Robin here, like the 1-cost Robin that gets rid of the Rebecca, which he does. So that's very strong. Which he plays out, and then he KOs my Rebecca. Which means he can continue pushing on a little bit. He probably won't be able to use leader effect here. Yeah, there's just no way, I think. So let's see what he does with the 3 remaining Dawn. I guess technically, I think there was this one drop, I don't remember the name, where you can play it and then you can rest it to play out another 1-cost card, I think. So potentially if he played that, like, he could do that, but we just see the 7k Law swing on the Brook, which pretty convincing number, right, to get rid of it. And then he plays out a Makino and passes, probably just hoping that I won't have access to the 4-cost Lucci here to wipe his field. I'm going to 8 Dawn here, which is the Moria turn, but my grave is not quite set up super well, so there's not the optimal Moria can't be played here. Like, optimally, I think you would want to play something like play Rebecca and Spandam from trash, fill up the trash a little bit more, and then Rebecca gets Spandine to play out a Lucci. That would be ideal. But honestly, in this game state against this deck, I still think it's probably fine to just play out the Lucci straight away with Moria and then get rid of 2 of the bodies. You can just like debate what you want to pop here. Like, it's definitely some of the 1 costs, I think. I do think getting rid of the Makino is strong here, especially I remember like my hand had like 1 counter, so it is nice to get rid of the potential aggro that he can do with the Makino. And then it's debating like, do you want to get rid of the Nami or the Robin? The Nami, to, you know, he can go more plus with that, and with the Robin, it is an out to Rebecca. So I think I had double Lucci in the hand actually at this point, so I could have cleared the entire field, but it would basically empty out my entire trash, which is again not something you want to be doing at this stage in the game. The trash is just not filled up enough. I didn't see any spandom for extra milling, so can't really be doing that here. And as you'll see, eventually I'm going to be playing down I'm thinking about it a lot because I do have multiple lines. Like, one of the lines is play double Lucci, and then the other line is go Moria, get Rebecca into spawn line into Lucci, which would empty out the trash, except for 1 card if I remember correctly. But I do opt to just go into the Lucci straight away here to keep that option for later. Even if the reason I was debating so much is, again, my hand was very not defensive. There was not much counter power in there at all. So yeah, the Rebecca line would have made sense in that regard, but I opted to just go for the Lucci, especially since I'm still at 4 life, and the Lucci is going to basically ruin his setup, right? Hopefully, anyway. Like, his hand is relatively small. I think it's like 4 or 5 cards. 2 of them are 5-cost Law and Cavendish, which he searched earlier with the Bonnies, which I know. And eventually I do decide to pop the Makio and the Nami. I think it's because at this point I had no access to another Rebecca. But in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to get rid of the Robin, because he most likely plays less of the Robin of the Nami, right? So if he wants to... Or I suppose it's easier to get back access to the Nami anyway, and to the Robin, probably not. Like, if I remember correctly, he's only playing 1 Robin. Of course, when we were playing the game, I did not know this. But yeah, we see Bonnie coming down here, which, again, it signals that he probably will be able to use his leader ability this turn, because if not, he wouldn't be playing it like this. And this is also the reason why he decided to go double Bonnie earlier, because he had another one in hand. Which I asked him after the game, basically, because I was curious about that. Of course, I already assumed, like, there was a reason why he did the double Bonnie thing, because he's a very good player, so he wouldn't be doing that just randomly. He's going to be swinging 5 into leader here, and I counter with some cards I can't quite tell what it is. Nightmare Luffy, maybe? Because I don't want to basically risk taking too many hits here. Like, if we would have went 7 with Zoro, for example, or 6, would have been different. He plays out the Sanji here, and then he goes leader. He's going to pick up the Robin, play out the Law, and then the Law is going to pick up the Bonnie, and he's going to play out another Zoro, which attacks straight away. And I think, once again, I only have 1 card to counter in hand, which I'm basically forced to use. But next turn I will be able to start clearing stuff, right? Because I do have the swings from leader, Lucci, and Moria, which will pretty much guaranteed just by attacking get rid of the Zoros. And then I do have another Lucci in hand to get rid of some more bodies. Potentially of the Law. I don't really remember what my hand was exactly, but we'll see. And it's just rough for Law, right? It's just very, very rough. I also could attack like bodies earlier in the game, so I didn't have to give him his life to allow him to set up for more combo. And I won the Dio and went second, so that also means like an additional card for myself. Or 1 card less for LoL, I suppose you could say. Because I think having more cards is more important to LoL than it is to Lucci. Even though in Lucci is also important, because you're in a way playing a combo deck where you always need like combinations of cards to get rid of your opponent's threats. In most matchups, anyway. In this specific matchup, it's a little bit easier because most of the bodies are so small, right? So for 1, I play Ice Age to get the Law down to 0. And then I am going to play out, just hard play the Lucci. And then the Lucci will be able to get rid of the Law and probably the Sanji, because it's a 2k. It's better to get rid of that. And it can also try to aggro me if I keep it on the field, because it can get bigger with the ability, right? And now I just basically need to swing over his Zoros, and it's gonna be super expensive for him to keep them on the field if he wants to counter out. Basically, he can't do it, because if he does, like, he loses all the cards in his hands, and then the Law deck is just not doing anything anymore. So yeah, basically what, like I said, and now we'll see Lucci swing in with leader Lucci, that is, swing in with 5 mill 2. He actually opts to counter that with the blocker chopper. He probably just wants to try to aggro it now. They tried to swing with the Lucci, but Lucci does not have rush. Imagine if it did. Or at least I should say this Lucci does not have rush, because there is a Lucci that does have rush, but it is the OP03 one, like the CP9 one. Now, I'm thinking what I'm gonna... right, so I have 4 done open, and I do have Khalifa in hand, and I was considering cycling my hand a little bit with the Khalifa, but then, if I remember correctly, the Khalifa is also the only card that remains... Or not the only card, the only counter that remains in my hand. And I was a little bit scared, even though I already did see a lot of non-counter cards, that I would like play the Khalifa and then pick up like no counter, and then suddenly it's actually kind of scary to see if I can survive probably 2 more turns. We will need to finish out this game. So that's the reason why I decided to leave 4 on open. And like just swinging the 5 here was also not bad, because it, like when he countered that was fine. Because it means like he has less cards in hand to play with. Okay, so he goes 7 here, leaving me at 2 life. Cavendish comes down for essentially 3. And then he swings just the remainder, which is... But so he already used 5 on 5. So that's an 8 swing, which I can't counter out again, because the only card in my hand to counter with was Khalifa. Like if I could, I definitely would have countered here, but I can't. So now it's just it's up to me to get rid of his board again, and then hope he can't somehow produce like 2 swings that are more than like 8k. I don't really remember how much counter I had in hand in this point, like after taking the life and after the draw. But I do remember it was still scary. Like there was definitely still the possibility that I would lose to like a certain combination of cards from the Law, even though it does really look really good sometimes, right? When you have entirely lost control of the game, the only way to go is push face and try to win the game that way. And that's just what George is doing here, which is like, it also tends to be, I think, the correct way to win like bad matchups. Because oftentimes the bad matchups are hard for you because you can't control the game, right? Of course, it doesn't apply to all decks. Like there's definitely decks that are more aggro focused that want to play this like this playstyle anyway. But it does tend to apply to control decks. Like if you're 2 control decks playing against each other, then usually once you have lost control, your only option to try to win the game is just swing at life and hope somehow it gets you there, which sometimes works, right? I go 6 at life after the Dandadon has the Dandadon. I mean the well, what's her name? Is it Dadon? It's just Dadon, right? Sorry, I'm like I recently watched the Dandadon, which is probably why it's in my head like that. Good anime, by the way. Would recommend it. Very fun. But yeah, I still have Tendon left, I think. But there is no way to go for game here anymore. So I just go 6-9, and then I think I play out a Moria to get rid of the Cavendish somehow, if I remember correctly. And then I pretty much put him on better habit, right? So I have to burn the... Yeah, and my hand was just like a lot of Ice Ages, Lucci's, Morias, which isn't necessarily bad, but like Law can be a very aggressive deck, so it definitely wouldn't have been unheard of to just lose the game to the aggro that the deck provides sometimes. I do play out the Rebecca here. I pick up another 2k and then play out Brook. So I think my hand at this point is 4k counter. And I'm pretty sure we know for a fact that George still has the one cost Nico Robin, which is going to KO my Khalifa for sure, because he has to try to go for game here, right? There's no way he's like living another turn against this field with 0 life left. And he's just considering his options here. Basically, it's just gonna be, if he has it like has a rush character, 2 swings, and then it's how are you gonna divide your Don to make sure that, or not make sure, but have the best odds to win the game, because there is no way to make sure. I had like 5 cards in hand at this point, just not a lot of counter. Still, so he's just doing the math here. I think his plan was to go like 7-8 or something. I guess we'll know when he does the law swing. So yeah, he goes for 7, leaving him with 6 open Don. Oh, I counter with Khalifa Spandam. So I think these were the only counters in my head. Then he plays Bonnie. Oh, not Bonnie, the pizza card. Right. And he hopes to pick up Rush Luffy or Zoro here. But he does not, and he doesn't have any Rush characters in hand, so that is going to be the game. Oh, I did have another Khalifa. Okay, so yep, fair enough. Anyway, good game as far as this game can be a good game. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment if you want to. I would appreciate that. How I can like improve these videos. And yeah, subscribe of course if you haven't yet. And then I guess I'll see you in the next one right after the little blooper that I'm gonna be pasting here. Bye.